Hello, Danger Needles. Is anyone here today? Because we have a special holiday message from SCP-999. Is anybody here? Hmm. Well, I don't think they are. Anybody here? That's fine. They can just listen to it in their own free time. So now, I will play the special holiday message from SCP-999.
Locked up in containment, no trouble around. SCP-999 makes a sweet soft sound. The doctors were listening and left wondering why. He was singing a Christmas lullaby. 682 is growling, he won't go away. But little 999 can keep him at bay. One little orange blob can help us to stay safe. Can make all the Keeters sit down and behave. To all the Foundation's hard-working crew, to all the anomalies and dead gods too, to all of the world in this joyous time, please have a Merry Christmas from 999.
I love this. It's amazing. Anyways, first, second story. It'll be a joy to the world. Dr. Johanna Rose Garrison leaned back in her chair one last click, extinguishing the computer's light. That was it. The last of the forms had been sent off, the final approvals and offers ferried to the appropriate personnel, and the last experiments should have been completed by now. It was for the next 20 minutes. Christmas Eve. Maybe, just maybe, she could take tomorrow off. The door to the office slid open, and Garrison recognized a familiar face. And Agent Bryant, good to see you. The man stepped in, looking sheepish. She glanced at the clock before waving at him to sit down. 20 minutes. What is it? Do you want to hear the bad news or the worst news? Joanna sighed. There weren't her plans of leaving on time tonight. The bad news. SCP-504's escape from containment. Someone left the doors open. She sighed in relief. That was manageable. We'll send in an appropriately equipped containment team to retrieve the specimens. And it should be fixed easily enough. What's the worst news? You know that termination attempt on 682 we're going to try out? Yes, remind me. You're going to then drop him down a mineshaft? Right. Well, it didn't work. He kind of, grew wings. Johanna stared at him. And pray tell, where's 682 now? He escaped into a nearby orchard, and he is currently hiding in a tree. Seeing Johanna stare, he rapidly continued. But we have a dozen marksmen. Well, one was killed, last I heard, but the rest are there shooting at him. And Dr. Klein is taking care of amnestics with the civilians and adjusting files as necessary. Phew. Though there is a reason to suspect that inappropriate behavior among the researchers involved had to do with the outbreak. So we've got the 10 of them cleaning 173's pen. She sighed. Is that all? There's been a mutiny among some of the D class. Two teamed up and started a bit of a massacre. Four others joined in. Johanna Garrison launched. Security's on it? Of course. I haven't heard whether they've stopped it recently, though. She stared at him. There's more, isn't there? Oh, yes. See, computer errors cause a large amount of data regarding SB-006 to be released to all personnel when its clearance normally starts at O5 level. The four tech guys who should have been monitoring it are all denying responsibility. They'll probably be trying to contact you. As if on cue, Johanna's desk phone went off. It's probably them that. Wait. That's probably them now. Brian. Brian said helpfully. She leaned over, unplugged it, and looked down wearily. Please tell me that's it. Well, apart from that, it's a Mantuya. Some of the live containment cells have some structural instability, but there are crews working on that. Let's see. The 914 test results came back. We got a couple of half pigeon, half reptiles you'll want to see. The recombinant DNA is like nothing I've ever seen. I sent them to your office for analysis. They're in liquid nitrogen. Thanks. And apart from that, the only other thing of note is that SCP-447's container is getting filled up. We'll want to move it. Of course, get a new container. Johanna sighed, resting her head in her arms. I'm sorry, Gabriel. I really wanted the day off tomorrow. I'd hoped we could spend Christmas together. I didn't know this much would come up. You probably wouldn't have been able to anyways. Gabriel Bryant patted her arm. Just then, a rhythmic cacophony passed by the hallway. Shit. Garrison sat up. Was that a brass band? Wait, oh shoot. Shit. Garrison sat up. Is that a brass band? I wasn't sure where else to find the 12 drummers drumming. Bryant said. The doctor turned to stare at him as he got up, dancing into the hallway. I mean, you've already got the 11 snipers sniping, 10 doctors sweeping, Klein's data expunging, goo ball buckets brimming, 6 Ds a slain, O5's useful springs, 4 calling nerds, 3 broken pens, 2 turtle doves, and a... Johanna continued automatically, then just stared. In what universe does 682 with wings count as a partridge? But Bryant was already gone, running down the hall. The 504 specimen crashed into the wall where his head had been missing had been missing him by inches. And that is joy to the world. Next story isn't really Christmassy, but it is a good one to read. The next story is The Real Adventures in Capitalism. The Real Adventures in Capitalism is a mimetic condition consisting of spontaneously occurring false memories of an animated television show of the same name. These memories are fragmentary but portray a consistent picture of the show even in subjects who have had no contact with other affected individuals. This allows for accurate reconstruction of the contents. According to provided accounts, the Real Adventures in Capitalism consisted of two 13-episode seasons, first airing in late 2013 and ending in the spring of 2018. Reports of severe delays and hiatuses are common. The art style and character design can vary significantly between episodes. The credit for each episode lists only the voice cast, with all characters listed as being portrayed by themselves. The primary parties, entities, factions, events, or persons referenced in The Real Adventures in Capitalism are believed to be fictional. Episode 101, The Boss Lady. Everyone remembers the opening scene. Isabel slouched in her office chair, Emma standing proper and awkward, an army of corgis, all named Jeremy, delivering tubs of ice cream. Meandering discussion of the dire financial situation facing the Wonderful Workshops toy company. The executive board's corporate mismanagement, competitors, Isabel's loss of creative spark and clever wordplay. They reveal that Emma is not nearly as humorless as first impressions would imply, and in her way nudges Isabel out of her moping episode. All's well that begins well. Episode 102, Tinker Tape Tango. Rubber hose animation, all black and white. A big band musical number, the tune and words escaping the mind and leaving no weathered impression of bombast. First appearance of the executive board with their ticker tape mouths and hissing voices, and joyless enforcers of corporate property. Chases and pranks and pratfalls, slapsticks, sick and silliness. The memory is weaker here. Episode 103, Isabel becomes president. Emma is the vice president. No surprise twist there. Jeremy is appointed to be Secretary of State. Chaos descends upon Washington as Congress desperately tries to restrain Isabel's manic decrees and fun-oriented domestic policy. They fail and watch on in misery and horror. The nation's nuclear arsenal is replaced with jelly beans. Cats and dogs live together in harmony. Debt is turned into donuts. And political parties that do not involve dancing are banned. World War III seems inevitable after publicly informing Vladimir Putin that he needs to go take a poop and come back when he's less grumpy. The state of affairs only lasts for a few hours, as is revealed that Isabel's election was the result of a catastrophic mistake in vote counting. She has already grown bored of politics by this time and resigns gracefully. Credits roll over top images of nondescript men in sunglasses and black suits, speaking to government officials and members of the press seen earlier in the episode. At no point in the series is Isabel's exact age or nationality stated. It isn't known if the election was legitimate in the first place. Episode 104, Buffalo, 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 Buffalo. I know it's a grammatically correct sentence, Isabel explains, waving her detached arm around. You didn't need to point it out. Episode 105, the beach episode. Emma is sitting on a beach chair beneath an umbrella, reading a book. In the background, Isabel is playing with Jeremy, building a sandcastle and jumping out about in the surf. After 5 to 6 minutes, Isabel stops moving and shouts, Emma, while pointing to a large white-gray form emerging from the water and making low whale-like noises. A wheel of pink foam washes onto the sand. Emma places a bookmark in her book and rises from her chair. Episode 106, Cryogenic Chaos. Frosty blue tubes of cracked and shattered glass. Dinosaurs wandering the halls, eating office plants and terrorizing the workers. Big feet wearing suits of squid and flatworm and flower. Red robe cultists, faces too blunt and broad for Cro-Magnon man, and flesh carved up into squirming scars and scabs. Isabel dressed up in a tacky safari getup with a net. Emma provides handy dinosaur facts and crayon-colored interludes. Jeremy survives getting eaten, while the most dangerous escapees are recaptured. Several reappear later in the season for background gags. The dinosaurs featured are feathered where appropriate. Episode 107, Heist of the Century. Isabel in bunny slippers and a plant-patterned evening gown, illuminated by a refrigerator light, staring at ransacked cabinets and a spray-painted decal on a wall. A black rabbit with a hammer. Episode 108, Jeremy, Jeremy, and Jeremy. In order to save Isabel from a board meeting, 3 Jeremys band together to stage a rescue attempt. Being cute dogs in possession of minimal brain power and no thumbs, they spend the rest of the episode doing things more appropriate to their station in life. Cuts to an exasperated Isabel. Mere moments from rescue before the Jeremy's lackluster efforts are interspersed throughout. Episode 109. Therein we find the shark. 2 rows of men and women in spotless lab coats wail on sharks trussed up by their tails. Isabel and Emma are led down their causeway by a man 12 feet tall, if he was an inch, his knuckles raw and bloody. A name tag in his breast pocket reads M.K. Harker. The silly little shark was inside us the entire time, he says, pointing to his chest. Isabel nods in agreement. Above their heads, the mangled corpse of a dream whale shark hangs as a trophy. Episode 110, The Green Heart. 3 men at the corner table. Edwin, dark and dour, whose heart held only the clink of coins. Theodore, young and bright burning, an adventurous scholar soldier. Reginald, who kept his head in the clouds and his hands at the workbench. He would stay in London, sink down into the inky shadows of its back alleys until he was inseparable from that unimpeachable gloom. The second would set around the world, butler in tow, and delve into all the secret places hidden from the sight of the natural sciences. The third took his toys to the World's Fair Chicago. It could have gone better, but it came to be that he received a job offer from the Anderson factory. They were looking for a new dressman to design their toys. Episode 111: The Terrible Tale of Mr. Red. He is pale like curdled cream, save for his hair that is red. His hands are likewise red. He prefers the straight razor, but he will use whatever is on hand. A screwdriver, a protractor, a Newton's cradle. The security cameras see it all. He moves the lens, do not. He jumps from screen to screen, and the camera never shifts the focus on all the red, or the misters and misses lying still in the halls. He cannot take out his fester anger out on his father. His father is long dead. He never stops talking, narrating a cavalcade of all the faults wrought against him by his dear departed father. His companion nods serenely, but does not interrupt. Mr. Red does not appreciate interruptions. He kills the misters, he kills the misses, he kills the workers and the guards and tears their wiring out of the drones, and he won't stop talking. He kicks down the door to the boardroom with a boot stained with blood and shit. He kills the dusty gray bean counters and stomps their sagging gray heads into red paste on the white tile floor. Mr. Red's companion smiles. He has too many teeth for his mouth. They fall out and plink on the floor, crowded and a jaw twisted by the strain. In the doorway, Isabel. She is wearing a striped sweater. She tries to say something, sticks to her throat. She is crying. Red lunges. Emma is in between them. Too fast. She shouldn't be that fast. Deflection, redirection, palm to the chest. Red slides back but does not fall. Emma says nothing, nor needs to. Isabel runs, scrambling over herself. The fight is a thing of beauty and muscle-crunched terror. There is a budget that went through this. Red is everywhere, swinging like a maniac. Emma is rooted, defensive, solid. Red rambles. Emma doesn't. Who are you? He asks, blood dripping down his chin, shiv buried in her shoulder. Nobody important. She breaks his arm, shatters his jaw, Red falls. Emma runs, the ground shakes, and Mr. Hungry, for that is his name, places a hand upon Red's shoulder. Thank you, my boy. Your services are no longer required. Red looks up and sees that Mr. Hungry is made of teeth. Episode 102: The Big Crunch. White text upon black. In the outer darkness, there is sweeping and the gnashing of teeth. Sound only, the grinding of molars, the tear of meat, and the slither of a tongue on blood-slickened gums. Swallow. Faint whisper, it is very hungry. No credits. Episode 113, The Factory. And from the crumbling workshops, that cocoon of childish joy, rises the bleak and terrible countenance of a dark and horrible factory. Episode 201, Road Trip. A bright purple convertible, all spoilers and chrome, speeds down the deserted highway beneath the burning light of alien suns. Emma is driving. She's got her hair pulled back beneath a red bandana, sunglasses, a band t-shirt with the sleeves cut off, jeans. She's never ever worn jeans before, not in this show. Things have changed. They're on the run now. Isabel sits in the passenger seat, Jeremy curled up in her lap. 1,000 yards stare down at her dirtied sneakers. She looks like she's been punched in the stomach, had the life stolen out of her breath. She says nothing. Emma cycles through the radio stations. Solar Flare Rap, Shattered Deuce, new bronze score single, the Sarkic Tabernacle Choir, the smooth hip hop of Old Crab, Goat Drinker Loneliness songs, Yi Ren throat chanting. Eventually, she just turns it off. It's not going to stop hurting, Emma says. Closure is a load of horse shit. The bone dry desert orange and pink flashes by. I'm sorry, Isabel. Episode 202. Pit stop on the borderland. The swine things at the window are detailed, rotoscoped, hideous in comparison to the friendly pastels of the rest of the dinner's patrons. They snort and squeal and scream in the night, clawing at the window panes, gnawing at the door frames. Emma leads the building of barricades. Isabel hides under the counter. She has barely said anything this episode or the last. The barricades hold for a moment, but they will splinter before dawn comes. Emma looks exhausted for the first time that she can be remembered. Something is going on inside Isabel's head. No viewer privy to it. But she acts without prompting and concocts a plan far more sober-headed than most. Battle plans are drawn on the counter in ketchup and mustard. Salt shakers are marched through their paces in preparation. A counterattack is designed, striking the swine things, where confusion might drive them to retreat along with the coming sun. She's never been like this before. There's no going back after it. Episode 203, Red Planet Blues. There is a funeral on Mars. No one was invited, but 2 guests show up anyway. Emma carries an umbrella through the blue-white sun. It's weak in the Martian morning. Isabel cleans the sand off the solar panels and wakes Opportunity up for one last time to send the girl off. Episode 204, Maximizing Profit. A fellow in a red turban and black bathrobe mans a stand of bootleg toys. His name is SD, and he scratches his scraggly beard as Isabel inspects his merchandise. He admits to no wrongdoing. His words coat the ear in snake oil. You hate him and love to hate him. Smarmery, silver-tongued, razor-eyed bastard. The pair keep running into him all over the Cosmic Crossroad marketplace. Each time he's selling something new, he balances scams like spinning plates. A comet falls to Earth and forms its core, steps the deer. It will not be the end of this world, but no one knows that now. The market town scrambles to escape its path. Isabel's attempt to delay or redirect it go nowhere. Emma is forced to drag her to safety. ST is vaporized when he challenges the god, not out of bravery or self-sacrifice. No, pure self-aggrandizement. Without the sound and a flash, he is gone. Hanging in metallic fog a moment before the wind wipes it clear. You ain't getting rid of me that easy. Episode 205, Hard Times in the House of the South. The Empress is dead. Utma Sijen VII is dead. Murdered in her own sanctum, murdered in her own summer palace, murdered by her daughters and sons and consorts, murdered and cast down by the northerners. Treachery, treachery, they come under the banner of the five-pointed star, the crown of the Red Emperor, those black-clad men in the land of Gok. They all forget the little bastards sired by a commoner in a village far away. The simpleton princess, as bombs go off and the gas fills the streets with corpses, as the firing squads execute each block in turn. The gangland black-furred brute shows who makes wonders, steals the girl away by hidden paths and secret ways. The tinsmith takes the last empress out of her burning kingdom. In his vest pocket, he has a library card. Episode 206, Disaster on the Way. Dust from the deer's arrival rises still on the eastern horizon. An upturned car crumbled like paper. The corpse of a leviathan collapsed across the highway, its belly swollen and split open, the stench of rot oozing and choking, brown slime coagulating the grass, knotted with tumors' blackened fibers, Emma drowning under a tide of rotting ones. Isabel clutching Jeremy to her chest, thrown into a gap between worlds. Isabel 207, Among the Trash Gods. See the very beginning, a memory of a memory. All was dark, then split by light. The brothers three, and then the tree. All the cosmos and cosmic order, all boundaries are set down. All gods above and below, born of light and shadow, and last in loneliness of all. Emma Elithrope Brown. Nobody important. She wakes up half buried in landfill beneath a bronze dome. She wades through plastic and glass and the interplanar detritus to a portal. She is in a bathysphere, descending into the abyss. Take a universe and cut it open, make it bleed, spill its guts out, tear the corpse into chunks, mix it with another and another, on and on, through the sounds and 10,000s until it is an ocean on the face of the cosmos, and that is the abyss. The bathysphere's lights barely illuminate the crimson depths. Shadowed figures, teeth sharp, swim about an ethereal mascara. Emma turns to see her captors, three men with magpie heads and grotesquely fit, trash gods all, collectors and sellers of worlds not yet digested by the abyss. They know a good prize when they see one. They know enough that you can find a buyer for nothings, and nobody's down in the court, and so they go. down, down to the court of the Scarlet King. Episode 208, Isabel Alone. Isabel is lost just when it seems that there have been a new stability. Her work was torn out from underneath her. She is aimless. She does not know where Emma is. She is afraid. She passes through ways and worlds of increasing hostility and strangeness. The people here have a cold and hungry look. Jeremy is small comfort to her here. She is found out. People talk down here in the way warrens. She's been recognized. Reggie's girl, worth a pretty penny to some parties. She is pursued. She runs and runs and runs and runs, and the worlds blend together and ways overlap. The maelstrom sweep her pursuers away, sweeps her away. She is in the mountains. Winter is here, and she has nothing left. She curls up in the snow and cries. Episode 209, Sins of My Father's Hands. There once was a toy maker named Reginald Westinghouse, who came to America to seek his fortune. He took a job at the Anderson factory, where they chained him to his desk. He drew up toys in a sweltering steel coffin till his fingers bled, his nails cracked, and the carpal tunnel crippled his wrist. He filed through his chain and clawed his way to freedom. He ran far away, changed his name, and his face started again. The Anderson factory slunk into the shadows, and he built toys just as he dreamed. All was not well, but it was well enough. He began thinking of an heir. His son came out wrong. Despite all the care that was put into his making, he came out all wrong. He was all sharp edges and cruel, twisted thoughts. Reginald tried to teach him, but Red refused to learn. He tore off the bars of his window and fled into the night. But now the good doctor was old. His finances were falling apart. His memory and his life were fleeing from him. The spark of creation was dimming. He built a machine to keep himself alive, to stretch his life over as many years as he could. He hired a maid to take care of him when the machine could not. He handed his company to a board of executors to care for it, while he withdrew to his secret workshop and began again on preparing an heir. His daughter, too, came out wrong. Not like his son, she had the spark. She was joy and wonder within, but there was a veil of ignorance cast over her. Too much of an innocence struck inside her own imagination. He could not bear to be near her. So crushing was the acknowledgment of his failure. He faded there in the dust of his hiding place as his daughter grew up happy and ignorant, and the executive board fossilized in their places. The maid stayed with him until he passed, and then was on her way. Episode 210, Wonder Maker. There is an old man and a wolf there, shin deep in the snow. His face is weathered and kind, his furs flap in the blustery mountain wind. He knows a secret and has come to lead the girl. There is a cave up on the mountain. He wakes Isabel. He leads her up to the mountainside. He can go no further, but the way will lead home, he says. He does not say goodbye, vanishing in a swirl of snow when Isabel's head is turned. In the cave there is darkness. In the darkness there is nothing. It is not the absence of light. It is the dark of the absence of everything. Voices rise from darkness, a chorus of a chant, an old song rising up from nothing. And Isabel whispers, I raise up my hand. And there was fire. The flame dances, and in its light there is Isabel in multitudes of memory, each wonder maker and firebringer back to the beginning, unbroken and unforgotten. She is of their number, and they are of her. She knows the secret now. Behind all things that exist, there is existence. She will save her friend. Episode 211 In the Court of the Scarlet King. Imagine now the deepest point of the abyss, the rotting Clithpothic tree, the pit of Benthos hell. A sun of black iron pocketed with eyes of sickly fire. Septic smoke and glistening ooze pours from its mouths. The water is thick with oil and fresh slurry. Shards of bone and the corpses of old gods rise above the ice crust, fashioned into crucifixes for the deities who are spared. Icebergs filled with thousands of bloodied souls melt slowly. Below is its obsidian surface. There are faces, bodies packed together tight enough that each bone has been broken. Jellied eyes spin about in crumpled sockets. Crushed jaws mouth agony without sound. The air cold and empty drums with the constant moans of pain. Emma is dragged out of the damaged bathysphere in basalt chains. Teeth, teeth missing, eyes blackened, blacked, nose broken, lips split. The trash gods do hasty business here, exchanging her for a handful of souls to a beetle-headed duke. Darkness overwhelms her as a blind idiot's servants cart her off. A cell, some pit carved from frozen flesh. The door vanishes as she is tossed aside. Motes of soul residue cast a leprous light on the place. The Duke will be with her momentarily. The whole business with Moloch needs to be taken care of. 1 second turns to 5, turns to 10. She is yet to struggle. Then with a jerk of the wrist, she snaps her chains, pulls them apart like so much old thread, stands up, stretches, wipes the blood from her nose, and spits out a tooth. Nobody would ever want to be here. Nobody would be able to do what she is about to either. She presses her left palm against the wall, gouges its firmness, curls a right fist, one finger at a time, pulls back, and boom. The Beetle Duke's palace shatters. Emma erupts from the crater in a bolt of Sakuga. Eyes set on the throne, the throne of the king, adorned in scarlet. She sprints atop the water, a blur, faster, faster, faster. Arms plump, a razor of slurry water. The monster designers have a field day. Characters barely stay on model. Bones vaporize, heads are ripped off, limbs torn from their bodies. Impacts shatter mountains and throw up tidal waves. Brimstone blood splashes, paint the screen in monochrome. Dukes and demons and leviathans throw themselves at her and her name in hyperviolence. Her punches have shock colors. Her jumps feel like they clear continents. God is my witness, that man was broken in half. Holy fuck, she is red shifting. Jesus H. Christ, is that a nuclear fusion punch? The king sits on a black throne with 7 red spears, which pierced the prize that lay bloodied at his feet, from whose wounds spew the great leviathans. and a team around the dread mountain's base. A fist tightens around his lance. Emma tears a leviathan in two from jaws to tail and launches herself forward. Not at the throne, but just off-center, towards the smallest bride pinned to the barnacles and bones. She lands on the smooth gray flank, digs her fingers into the spear, and then with one cry of strain of this entire sequence pulls it out. The seal is broken, the seventh bride is freed. The spear drops to the stone with a sound of tectonic thunder. The king rises from his seat. Go! Emma cries, dropping to the ground. The seventh bride is able to stand. She clutches the hole in her stomach with one hand and takes up the spear that pierced her in the other. She forms a sign of waymaking with a bloodied hand and vanishes into a swirl of dark water and whale song. Emma leaps at the king with a scream fit to dig into his chest and tear out his heart. It is swatted away by the back of his hand. She skips across the water like a doll thrown at concrete. Clouds and sea cleaved as if by a sword. She struggles to pull herself up from the broken ice as the king steps down from his throne and wades towards her, spear in hand. Fade to black. Far away, the seventh bride spirits the girl out of her chamber, steals her way to a land across the hills so quiet. There is peace there for a moment. The seal is broken. The cloud of fire rises up above Montauk Point. The center cannot hold. Episode 212. Dawn of the first day. A man in tattered lab coat stands on a high cliff by the sea. In his hands he holds a book bound in leather. Blackened, weathered human. He lifts his sigil-carved arms high. Blood drips onto his face and chest. He cries out to the storm with inane, formless sounds and casts the book into the sea. Listen. Can you hear the footfalls of the broken tooth marched, sweeping up through the past? The Davyites are coming. They are eating history. The walks of Uruk crumble. Harappa is devoured by demons. Ramesses lies vivisected, open atop the Great Pyramid. Cyrus is paraded through the streets atop an iron spike. Athens meets a relativistic kill vehicle. Q Shenhang is flayed and torn to pieces, and still he screams. Jerusalem is swallowed by a pit of cinders. Rome chokes on chlorine gas. Byzantium drowns in blood. Charlemagne is crucified in the Valentine Chapel. William's men hang him from the mast with his own spine. The great Khan strangles his sons in their tents and runs out into the steppe alone. Baghdad is buried in the ash of its citizens. Oh God, Sean, what have they done to you? Moctezuma is fed molten gold before all his people. The Mughals cannot stop the tide of flesh from the sea. The rape of the New World is ahead of schedule. The reign of terror enthrones a hanged king. London fucks its queen mother to death. In Flanders fields, the tumor metastasizes. The Sarkis feed the Tsar to his people. The Germans walk out into the fields and forced to lay down. Stalin starves himself in his own gulags. The American build Americans build of themselves a great and hateful engine, and throw their children before Moloch, reborn forever. The veil tears apart. They are here now. They are here. They are now. They are upon us. The battle is met across all the world. The camera does not turn away. Witness how the world dies. Do not forget these images. The battle is met. Burning mushrooms, orange gold spring up as after soft rain. Fields of flesh clawing up from the frozen soil and clawing upon the shores, hateful, hateful. The nations of earth hold the gates for a moment. They break beneath the horde. The Witch of Hope Lake stands beneath a burning seal of Solomon, wind and water tearing at her rain jacket. From the depths of great library gig the shell, slithers peacock feathered Nahash, the serpent vast as mountains. He rears back with fire upon his fangs, far above Akhama Mechane, the goddess no longer broken, sits in the sky with her fleets of dreadnought angels. Brother and sister, guardians of man, reunited at last to watch the passing of their wards. The stars seethe with hate. The Scarlet King rises from the pit of Megiddo, and with all his leviathans and demon lords. The gods and their hosts ascend from the heavens and rise from the abyss to make war with each other. The good ship Solidarity is rammed into the Scarlet King at light speed. The gates of the silent hall swing open. 3 brothers in black ride horses of white, and lead behind them a column of the endless dead. Creation crumbles under the strain. The ways were torn up, the library burns. 2 sons of Adam meet for the last time and die at each other's hands. The ash is torn in 2. Hakama shatters a second time. The flame of all thinking beings dims, sputters, and goes out. Stars are eaten alive, the dead are reduced to dust. The heavens are dark, choked with smoke and ash. The abyss is fattened with blood. All lights have been extinguished across a billion worlds, save one. 36 saints gather on the mountain slope and together fulfill their ancient destiny. Passing of the world in his cruel and horrible fashion could not be helped. They had been waylaid by the forces of the world for too long to prevent the horrors of the king. They might break the seal upon him. They make the final sign and pass into the mist. Upon the ashen firmament of Assad, the king raises a new throne. Episode 213. The end of the world goes like this. Open upon the dark and starless mist, there is a man there in the stillness, wearing the robes of 36. He is praying, lips move, there is no sound. He is weeping, at his feet lie 2 mangled bodies. He builds a cairn for each, there is a little left to bury. Ah, my brothers, you have left young, set alone again, he says, wiping his lined face. Around them the dark mist shifts, and there's a soft whale song. Habat steps forth, the spear in her hand. The girl Grace is by her side, dressed as her patroness. The bastard empress, veiled in gold and red, claps a trinket of sauce to her chest. Harker the first chomps on a cigar, dumps the remnants of the great goblin shark on the ground. SD is last riding upon the deer and wearing a different body. Fucking little reunion of fools got here, he grumbles. Fools we are, but we are fools. A habit says. She taps her sphere to the ground and then splits it into 7 parts. That will have to do, Fan. SD snorts as he takes his fragment of the spear. Set goes to each of the 6 in turn, places his hand upon the weapons. The tips glow phosphorus white. The 7th stands embedded to the ground and goes unchained. The little Empress asks as she loops her toy's cord around her weapon and sings a nursery song of long-vanished Antarctica. Harker tightens his sandals. The deer paws at the scabbard over gravel. In the distance, fog death, a glow forms as if a campfire seen faintly in the gray of pre-dawn. It glows in brightness, and beneath until the curtains part. At the very bottom of the abyss, the cries of soul and torment have ceased. The bloated black sun lies cracked and half sunk in the thrally. The throne is empty. All the dukes and demons of hell left with the master. Not even echoes remain. The broken body lies curled in a field of ashen sludge. Emma. The same lingers and there's no music. Feet clenched in the snow. A pair of bright red sneakers comes into view. Emma's eyes open, just barely. Easy there, comes a voice from off-screen. The careful arms lift her up. And Isabel is there, a tottering Emma leaning heavy on her shoulder. She waves to the audience with a smile. Hey guys, sorry I'm late. She eases her assistant to the ground and props her up against the rock. Emma's appearance is terrifying. Nobody could look like that and still be alive. Thank you for everything, Isabel says as she places a hand on Emma's shoulder. Emma makes a weak noise of acknowledgement, but nothing more. Isabel stands up and turns to the rest of the group. Right then. She snaps her fingers and is set alight with fire that has not been seen since the beginning. A cascading mantle of stars falls on her shoulder. She takes a 7th sphere from a habit and wreathes it in the oldest song. Galaxies spring into being and fade away, old and happy in her footsteps. A Jeremy-shaped fireball jumps out from her shoulder, runs around her feet, and returns to the flames. You all ready? We are, Abbott answers. Let's go say hi to your dad. Isabel waves her hand and the mist flees as she's sucked out of frame by a vacuum. They stand before the throne. The king is waiting for them. There's nobody else left. He has eaten his servants. He flashes forward, his lance plunged through a habit's stomach. He laughs. Whenever sound is made, it is only the apparent glee of his maker that names it so. The 7th bride spits blood and dark water in her father's face. She wrenches herself free, blood and plume smoke pouring out of her wound. She stabs him in the stomach. Parker jumps over her shoulder for the assist. Memory fails at piecing together the exact sequence of events to follow. There are too many parts, too many frames put into each movement. Shattered firmament, firmament is thrown about in a razor blade wind. The deer clears a path through the air, its metallic gaze sweeping across the broken skies. Empress increase fight in synchronicity. Parker grips his fear in his teeth to free his bloody knuckles. ST screams in panic, swinging to and fro, set in habit masterfully countered his blade. Back and forth, feet dancing, blades singing. Isabel fits about like a light spade firefly training steamers of star stuff. She is a sharpened line, a cutting edge. Music swells above the corpse of the corpse, calling up emotions that the waking world has deadened in the heart. Some distance from the battle, the brothers three watch. An old exiled man plays cards with the youngest and finally loses. Watch now as the true blows are made. Hold fast to that hope. Do not be troubled by what is to come. Herker strikes first, piercing the king's right eye. He is knocked from the air and crushed underfoot. SD pierces the left eye and is bitten in half. With the deer. Set pierces the liver and is impaled. The Empress stabs him through the stomach and she is smashed to a pulp. Grace renders his right arm useless and is knocked flying out across the dark waters. Habit drives it through his blackened heart, just as the king drives it through her own. He set a foot on her chest and pulls his weapon out of her lifeless body. The goddess has not yet hit the ground before Isabel is on him. Blades clash and sing and glow, and the world fades around them, until there is only a great darkness. They stand upon black waters among the drifting ashen fall of the consumed tree. There are now only the two. A good fight is always just two. This fight has always been two. The fight is all to existence for a time. There is a final clash of blades, and the combatants are sent spinning away from each other. There is a pause and sizing up for re-engagement. The wolves are circling each other. The king is wounded, blinded, impaled by 6 spears, flooding oceans into the deep. Isabel remains afire. Emma stands beside her. She is smiling. At no other point in the entire run of the series has Emma Isothrope Brown smiled. It'd been fun, ma'am, she says, patting Isabel on the shoulder. Wouldn't have been half as good as without you. The king roars, charges with blades raised high. Emma's hand darts out. Isabel leaps up on it, bouncing on tippy toes. Emma rears back, muscles bunch, tense, strain under the pressure. Watch and see. The Emma Isothrope Brennan Festival Fastball Special. Isabel is a beam of fire cutting with the cosmos in half. A vapor cone of tattered space-time tripling behind her. Emma's broken body turns to ash. His body turns to ash, cutting her fingers and working down. She is still smiling. The king's face is frozen in a contorted moment of realization. Let's see where did I lose myself? Ah, Isabel lets loose the final note of creation's war song against oblivion. The king punches a hole right through the Scarlet King's skull. The king stumbles. Isabel lands on the darkness. He turns and turning to face her again. She falls to one knee. Blood burning sunbeam gold drips from his wound. He lifts his left hand in his shattered weapon. He makes as if to drag himself forward. He freezes, his arms falls. The three appear behind him, dwarfing the king, who thought himself so mighty. The youngest sickle shines without light. Enough already. He slits the king's throat. No wound is left. The corpse of Kararak is the worm sinks into deeps below. The middle brother spits on him for good measure, and it makes to do so again when the eldest raises its hand. Youngest and middle appear for a moment startled, but accept the sign that has been made. Their duties completed, fade they faded into their own deaths and coalescence, back into the back form of the eldest. There is nothing at all now, only the death of all and the toy makers of wonders. Hold on. There is nothing at all now, only the death of all and the maker of wonders. She holds out her hand. Shall we dance? All death takes it gently, as we did in the beginning. The dance there, at the end, eldest son of the greatest dark and light that was his opposite. They spin and twirl about each other, orbiting bodies drawn closer. Their forms brush, intertwine, become one. There is no beginning nor end to the light or darkness now. Only the soft notes of completion. Fade to black. After a time, Isabel speaks. The end of the world goes like this. Everyone lived happily after. Alright, so that is it of that SCP story, which I thought was going to be more of a funny SCP story because it starts funny at the beginning. But holy shit. Yeah, that was the real adventures in capitalism. So yeah, Jerry, if you're still here, what do you think about it? I have no idea. Okay, okay, I don't think you saw it. Would you like to see the Christmas gift from SCP-999? Alright, in 3, 2, 1.
Locked up in containment, no trouble around. SCP-999 makes a sweet soft sound. The doctors were listening and left wondering why. He was singing a Christmas lullaby. 682 is growling, he won't go away. But little 999 can keep him at bay. One little orange blob can help us to stay safe. Can make all the Keeters sit down and behave. To all the Foundation's hard-working crew, to all the anomalies and dead gods too, to all of the world in this joyous time, please have a Merry Christmas from 999.
Why, did you like the gift? Okay, so before I go into any other stories, I kind of want to see what these red links go to. Okay, so, okay, so the bottom goes to another story. Okay, so that'll be next. I think it's the cutie. Yeah. Let's see. 36 Saints. SCP-001. The Dogmatic's proposal. It's a group of 36 individuals. Okay. Okay. So that's what that one is. Two Sons of Adam. I think I know what these two are. Yep, 073, 076, yeah. Alright, so light speed. Stallion Solidarity Hub. Oh wait, these are SCP-2085s. Oh my god. Oh, it's a tale hub of stories. Favorite? I will come back to that at some point. Solidarity is SCP-2117. Okay. Okay. So a lot of SCPs are in this story. Brother and sister. Okay, so this is another story that I will do at some point. Why should I don't know how to unpin things. I'll just leave that there. Anyways. Let's see, what's stars? SCP-1548. Jesus Christ. Okay. Nahash, I don't know what that is. Another story. Okay. Alright. Hope Lake. And another story. Sweet, I'm getting a collection of stories. That's cool. Which excerpt of autobiography. Okay. Another story. There are a lot of goddamn links. SCP-186, which is... Okay, so it's like a unrecorded military engagement from July 24th, 1917 to October 13th, 1917. Okay. It's Queen Mother to death. Oh my god. 597? What is 597? SCP-597 is a black flesh approximately 5.8 meters high. Measurement height. Moves, substance like planet ripple. Oh, zeros. Holds hundreds and hundreds of trees, various color sizes. Whenever mammal is released into a cell, be drawn to a score mining treat for its species, then proceed to suckle as long as they are impeded. Let's see. Wait. So basically, it's just a blob that makes mammals want to suckle its teeth. Okay. I already know what the Hanging King is. Tide of Flesh. Oh, 610, that makes sense. How the fuck you live? Pit of Cinders. 1844. Oh no. I already have bad memories of this thing. Wasn't this the one where... Yeah, I think this is the one where Professor Lucius made it the German party thing. I remember. Bad memories. Let's see. Book. Oh, The Chronicle of Davis. Okay. Across the hill so quiet. Is another story with a poem. I'll say that for another time. Oh, I'm not. Nope, not going in there. We know what happened with the children of the Scar, uh, the wives of Scarlet King. Okay, we know. We're not going to go into it. Business with Moloch. It's a dumb Fativi hub page. Oh, it's another hub's Tales series thing. Okay. Save. I know you're laughing at me, but I don't think I want to say it on stream. You understand what I mean. Dust and Blood. Okay, so it's another story. I don't think I've read this one. Wonder Maker. I swear to fuck if it's Wonder... Sick. Oh. It's another... Oh, this is gonna be hell to read on stream. Oh, it's part of the, another hub. Hold on. Adventures into Capitalism. God damn it, I didn't even know I read the ending of this. Whoops. have to reread this again at some point. Because I did not know. Sins of my father's hands. What's this? Histories. It's another story. I love how. Here's one thing. I love the SCP community where they connect stories with one another. It's really interesting. I love it. Like, they don't have to, they just do. On a cosmos. Or another story. Save that. All was dark and spit lit by the light. Chapter 1. Chapter 1, first one. Oh, so this is not part of a series, it's just by itself. Okay. Interesting. Definitely have to look at that. Rotting ones, I don't know what that is. SCP-106, okay, now that makes sense. Leviathan. I guess? House of the South. 1483. What's in here? Friend of local mass. Apparently, it's a house in Antarctica. Interesting. And deer. SCP-2845. We're gonna proceed to your own conscious standard. Astronal quantum entity machine. Oh, this is the deer god thing. Yep, it's deer god. That makes sense. Letters to a prophet. Okay, I'll read that at some point. Red Planet Blues. A funeral on Mars. I'm reading this. I don't want to laugh at stories' names or anything. I just like some of them. It just caught me off guard. Yiren. SCP-1000. Bigfoot. Okay. Goat Drinker. 2636. Let's see. Wait, I wonder if this is the cockatrice. Let me see. Audios. 16th functioning mandible. No, never mind. It's not. There's a second located at the slightly with carbon. Venom was powerful. Hemorrhagic toxin capable of liquefying the internal organs of prey capture. Okay, so it's not the cockatrice. It's a different animal. That's a female biped mammal-like reptile of unknown species. Interesting. We already know what the Sarkics are, though. But I'm just saying if this is a... Oh, dear God. I have to tread very carefully with this. I... Oh, wait. This isn't a story. This is just... Oh, this is the Sarkism group. So it shows, like, history, mythology, pro-Sarkism, organisms, neo-Sarkism, known anomalies. Oh, okay. I thought it was stories, and I had to be very careful. I'm still gonna save it. Because... Let's just say they've done very bad shit. It's be 3882. First albums, The Shattered Duelist. A third-person metal group filled with mechanism. Okay. So it's music. Interesting. I mean, yeah, oh wait, it's trying to do is underscore sync. Yeah, that makes sense. Solar flare ramp. Incident 6825048. We are going to read that at some point. Road trip. Make sure it's not part of a hub. Yes, it is. It's part of the Adventures in Capitalism hub. Okay. We already know what the factory is. I don't need to click that. Who the hell is Mr. Red? I got so confused. SCP Red. Oh, it's a story. Okay. The butler. I think that's the handbell. Yeah, handbell. Who the hell is Theodore? Oh. Why didn't I guess that? Why did I? Lord Theodore Thomas Blackwood. Why did I forget Blackwood's name? I can't believe I forgot about Blackwood. Edwin. What? I guess Edwin got removed. It's gone. Hold on. I'm gonna wonder about that for quite a while. Dream whale shark, which is SCP 1449, is a living artistic organization of whale shark in the style of Aboriginal Australian dot art, measuring 13 meters in length. Oh, it's a piece of art that's alive? Huh. Neat. I'd love to have a whale shark pet. Why can't I have one? Inside us the entire time. It has always been. Oh, that's another story. I will take that. Add to my collection. Black rabbit with a hammer. 2085. I think that's multiple. Militant anarchistic organization of 6 technically enhanced individuals. Oh. Interesting. Red robe cultist. I'm not gonna click Bayfeed. That's gonna go to SP1000, isn't it? Yep. Oh, there's another one that got removed. Uh-oh. Let's see. Is that all of them? Nope. Bossity. Oh wait, that's probably the beginning, isn't it? Yep. Alright. Yeah. Anyways. Everyone ready for the next story? It's When We Came Home. I'm just waiting to see if everyone's ready. Silence. I'm just gonna assume everyone's ready. Because I don't see a response. Anyways. When we came home. In the days when the flood receded, the magic once again flourished in the world. It came to be that man discovered the Chronicle of the Divas, that ancient compact, hands misled by doubts and dark whispers, took it from its dusty tomb and cast it into the sea. In a forest there was a small lake, a cool, clear water. In the center of the lake was a small rocky island, upon which was built an ancient stone watchtower. The trees of the forest were old and strong, their heavy roots buried deep, and their broad branches seemed to hold up the sky itself. The dappled sunlight shifted as the breeze moved through the leaves high above. Great boulders wrapped in moss sat amongst the roots and trunks of the trees. The air was both cool and warm, and the world was quiet save the shifting of trees. There was a scraping sound, and the sound of metal upon metal. Then came the rustle of underbrush being pushed away, and the sound of something being dragged through the dirt. Pages scattered upon the water, and like the mighty wave of the Devites, clawed out of the black leaves of history, and their names and their cities and all their empire. The flesh too emerged, crawling from its ark deep beneath the frozen earth. Together they made great sacrifice and horror. They called out to their master, and their master answered them. The Scarlet King rose from the pit of Megiddo, with all of his leviathans and demon lords. Creation trembled, for its extinction was at hand. A soldier walked out of the forest onto a bank of the pool. Its armor's dent and torn and punctured, was caked and crusted with brown and red and burnt with black. The soldier's skin was burned and dirty. An eye socket in the temple above it had collapsed under a blow. The scalp had been torn away, the hair had burned to ash. Flaps of skin exposed a jaw of cracked teeth. An arm flopped limply, its bones broken. Soldier looked as if a corpse rather than a human, and a heavy stench of hell was upon it. The soldier dragged a pitted, nicked broadsword behind it, carving a little trench in the loam. The soldier walked along the bank until it came to one of the great boulders draped in moss. Here the soldier lifted the sword high, then drove it deep into the ground. There was no need for the sword any more. A long and winding journey had ended. But mankind in this late hour did not go quietly in the dark night. No, it was as if a great final flame burned brightly. With mankind stood the ancient guardians, Hakama, broken no longer, with her fleets of dreadnought angels fast enough to blot out the sky. Nahash returned from his exile at last, his plumage bright and fire upon his mouth. For the briefest moments, brother and sister were united, and with them mankind fought and died against the king and his servants. The hand that once held the sword began to unfasten the armor, buckles, and belts. Each piece fell to the mud and was still. There was no need for the armor anymore. The soldier began with the armor on the arms, and then the armor on the legs. Then unfastened the cuirass it wore. After this, it removed the mail shirt, and then the Roman vest and breeches. When all of this was done, the soldier arranged the armor in the shape of a human, next to where a sword had been driven in the mud. There would be no burial, for the grave would not be disturbed. There is no need for swords or armor any more. It would rest on the bank by the great boulder draped in the moss and be still. The brothers three, marking that the time was at hand, gave the command for the doors of the silent halls to be opened. The dead streamed out an army uncountable. They stormed the king's court and freed the 6 brides who remained and all the countless souls imprisoned in torment there. The soldier were now wearing nothing but blood and dirt and grime and ash and salt and scars, knelt by the stream and reached a hand into the water. The current washed away the filth on the hand, and underneath the coating of grime there was clean skin, smooth, pink, and healthy. The soldier cupped the water in his clean hand and drank. Rivulets ran down its chin, staining it with mud. 3 brothers in black rode upon 3 white horses. Behind them marched every being who has ever died, from every world, from every facet, from every sphere. Each mortal and god and stray soul, the sum of all dead in Exodus. A song rose as the column passed through the shattered ascending gates of hell, a song of joy. The dead marched to strike down the king. With a clean hand, the soldier reached over to the shattered arm. With yanks and tugs, it shifted the bones back into place. Mangled fingers twitched and then bent, and then the arm moved. The soldier flexed its once broken arm, saw that it had moved as it should, and was satisfied. Thus the final battle was met. The gods and all their hosts descended from the heavens and rose from the abyss to make war with each other. The stars burned with hate. Creation crumbled under the terrible strain. No world was spared, no sphere passed over. The ways were turned up, the library burned. Gods were cast down from their thrones, and the earth was laid to ruin. A million war fronts poured torrents of blood down the branches of creation. The king made Yesod his throne, and all things were reduced to ash. The soldier stood up and waded into the pond. When it reached to a point where the water was up to his waist, the soldier began to bathe. Layers of burnt flesh and dried blood peeled away, revealing healthy skin beneath. Far below that vast and terrible mountain, 2 sons of Adam met for the last time and died at each other's hands. The hash was torn in two, and Hakama shattered a second time. The flame of mankind, of all thinking beings, dimmed, sputtered, and went out. Stars were eaten alive, the dead were reduced to dust. The heavens went dark, choked with smoke and ash. The abyss was fattened with blood. All lights had been extinguished across a billion worlds. The falling clouds of filth formed a cloud of pollution around the soldier, but his cloud quickly settled at the bottom of the pool. As the soldier washed, it grew less like a corpse. Hollow flesh became full, life returned. Muscles stitched back together, skin mended, hair regrew, bones rejoined. Gone was the dried sludge of blood and dirt and shit. Gone was the grime of salt and smoke. Gone was the cold, gone was the stench, and the evil time and the evil place passed away. One light remained. 36 saints gathered on the mountain slope, and together fulfilled their ancient destiny. The passing of the world in this cruel and horrible fashion could not be helped. They had been waylaid by the forces of the world too long to prevent the horrors of the king, but they were not without power. Creation could not be healed, but the king might be made vulnerable. The seals he had placed upon himself, all those ancient defenses, were dissolved. The soldier dove beneath the surface of the water. Upon rising up was no longer a corpse, but a human, a woman who was solid built and strong, with wet hair the color of straw. She brushed a strand hair out of her face and smiled, for she was alive again. These were 7 that would destroy the king. The little bastard empress in her veil, her head swollen and her tongue mute. Harker, the man who shattered the dream time with a single strike. The exile who long ago cheated the brothers 3. A habit the unbroken 7th bride no longer. The opposite fawn astride the Saturnian stag. Set, 3rd son of Adam. Isabel, the maker of wonders. The woman's name was Marianne. She was no longer a soldier. 7 spears pierced the Scarlet King. One pierced his right eye. This was the Harker's spear. One pierced its left eye anew. This was the fawn's spear. One pierced his liver. This was the Set's spear. One pierced his hands. This was the exile's spear. One pierced his feet. This was the empress's spear. One pierced his heart. This was a habit's spear. The last was driven down through his skull. This was Isabel's spear. The brothers 3 thus came to claim the king, as had been their right since the beginning. His body was cast into the abyss, and death hung over the waters. Mary Ann swam about in the pool for a time. She floated on her back and looked up at the trees and their branches, and the sun in the sky. The occasional bird would flit through the sphere of her senses. She cooed back up at them. She dived underneath the surface and rose up again and again. She would pick up handfuls of smooth pebbles and mud only to let go and watch it all fall back to the bottom. She swam about with front stroke, backstroke, breaststroke, with the joy that her body might be exercised with something other than killing. After a time she rose and wandered back to shore. She was naked, but there was no shame or fear to her nakedness. She found a patch of soft grass on the shore, nestled between 2 mighty roots, and here she lay down in the speckled sunlight. She slept for a time, and her dreams were of gentle, formless things. The 7 stood upon the king's empty throne in silence. When she woke, the shadows had grown long, and the sun now burned golden orange. By her feet lay a sack of neatly folded clothes, a gray shirt, sand-colored pants, and many pockets. The heavy, strong boots. Mary Ann dressed herself and felt like she was whole again. Not Mary Ann, the soldier in those legions of the dead. Just Mary Ann, a name, a face, a body, a life, all whole again. She wandered into the forest without a direction in mind. Her hands in her pockets, they were bright flowers of blue and yellow and red and pink and purple and orange. There were great mushrooms and molds, white and red and dun. There were birds plain and ornate. There were little scurrying and burrowing animals. In distant shadowed hollows she could make out the shapes of larger creatures. Here and there were crumbling ruins of stone, or the mossy bones of giants, or a winding trail of cobbles. The evening waxed. A leopard gray like shadowed snow sat perched upon a vast tree root, smoking a pipe. Mary Ann scratched it behind its ears as she passed by. The cat flicked its tail and purred, puffing out a ring of applewood smoke. Shadows grew longer, and the night birds began their calling. The path Mary Ann had been following became more finely made. The cobbles younger and more neatly fit together. The ancient forest gave way to an expanse of grassy hills. The wide open sky was pink and orange and blue, where the last remnants of the sun and the faint silver moon had risen. A man stood there on the road where the forest ended. He was old and bent over, leaning on a cane, with a short gray hair and a clipped gray beard. His clothes and air were propped polite wise, proper polite wise. Gentle eyes set in a dark wrinkled face. He was feeding birds. Mary Ann ran. Tears welled in her eyes. Time stopped. Salah! She tripped over her own feet. Her momentum nearly crying her to the ground, where it was not for the wild flailing and pinwheeling of her arms. Her boots pounded on cobbles. The birds scattered at her voice. Salah! Her arms pumped madly, her legs strained as she urged herself faster and faster. A single moment longer would be intolerable, unendurable. They met. She wrapped her arms around him, and his around her. Tears streamed down her cheeks, blinding her to everything but the warmth of his body, the sound of his heartbeat, the texture of his jacket, the smell of coffee and old books, that gut feeling of belonging here, right here, home, right here, home, home, home. She buried her face in his shoulder and shook with laughter and sobs, and she cried. She held him close and showered him with kisses, and she cried. She looked into his gentle eyes and saw that he too was crying. Home. You got out, Salah. She sniffed, blinking at her tears. I hope that's not a problem. I'm not letting go. Not ever. Never ever. Marianne rested her head back on his shoulder and closed her eyes. Everything was still. The night was soft. Moments passed. Not in bone heavy. Time seemed to have lost all of its pretensions. Before and behind, and was content to remain. Together home. Mary Ann lifted her head and looked back into her husband's eyes. He looked younger now, closer to the Salah she married. She still had a little bit more gray around the temples, though. She didn't mind. Okay, I don't think you're going to vanish. I'll let you go now. Salah laughed. Mary Ann let go, but only with her arms. He didn't vanish. Do you have plans for tonight? Yes, taking her hand in his. He could feel the ring still on his. She could still. She could feel the ring still on his finger. Only ones that involve you. I like close plans. Above their heads, a great celestial squid with a mane of nebulae twisted across the star-spilled sky. It was good to see the stars again instead of a thick smoke and blood smears of hell. There was stillness. Creation was cold, and it was empty. But before we do anything, there's someone here to see you. Salah said, motioning off into the night. Mary Ann followed his finger to see a figure emerge from the darkness. A woman, short and wire thin, close cut, dirty blonde hair, darkish skin splotched with splashes of bright red. Mary Ann stared for a moment. Realization crumbled her heart into a painful dust. Fuck, she croaked. I thought I was done crying today. Hi, Mom, the woman said, waving a little awkwardly. Whatever Mary Ann wanted to say in response, the words were stuck in her throat. Go. Salam murmured in her ear, but her feet remained rooted to the stones. Her mind flared with once buried feelings. The horrible heat of a furnace, the crackling of burning tinder, smell of charring flesh, the cries of her baby girl as she burned. Naomi? Yeah, it's me. To look was painful, a horrible aching, dreading pain in soul. Mary Ann clenched her eyes tight, buried her face in her hands, shuddering as the tears came anew. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. The mantra spilled out over and over again. She felt thin arms hold her. It's all right, Mom. I love you. The briefest and smallest of whispers. I love you too. And then let go. Mary Ann opened her eyes and saw her daughter face to face. Naomi was older than she was. There were strands of silver in that hair. Age lines around her eyes and mouth, but in those eyes she saw all the other Naomis. The little girl with curly hair and twiggly arms filled with books. The dirty-faced youth with the patched jacket and cap, shoes muddy, and a gun in hand. The clean-cut teen with slender glasses. The stern young woman. The stalwart mother. Mary Ann wiped at her eyes again. Her daughter's scars had faded. Lucky you, all grown up and respectable, she said. You have the lot. I tried to kill you. You saved me. End of story. Yeah, Marianne was supposed that would be it. End of the story. That was a good ending. You might not have been around, but I looked up to you, Naomi continued. I didn't want to let you down. Oh, stop it. Mary Ann punched her daughter in the arm. That's just overkill. I mean it. I know you do, kiddo. I know you do. In the stillness, Isabel smiled. Flickers of the first fire danced and swirled in her eyes, spinning like galaxies. There was warm wind upon the throne, and it smelled of summer. Out of the corner of her eye, Mary Ann spotted a quartet of other figures lingering in the background who had gone unnoticed in all the excitement. A huge man built like an offspring of a grizzly bear and freight train, with a beard that bent down to his waist. Two teenage girls, the older one tall and plump, the younger one short and thin, and a young boy who looked to have singed his eyebrows off. Who's the Viking? She asked. My husband, Naomi answered. Marianne paused for a moment before grinning and hoisting her daughter off the ground with a tight hug. That's my girl. Sorry. She put her daughter down and cast a glance to over to her new-found son-in-law and grandchildren. They are not calling me grandma. We can arrange that. Isabel closed her eyes, inhaled and breathed out, and there was fire. She inhaled and breathed out, and there was a song. Well, Salah, anyone else ready to pop out of the woodwork? No, I think this is everyone. Awesome. Come on over, guys. She shouted out to her new extended family. Don't be shy. There was a gathering and hugs and laughs and names and stories and a few more tears. The moon shone high above, and after a while the family began to walk down the roads into the hills. They did not know where they were headed, but the tugging of their hearts drew them along. There was a little house on the hill. On a hill, the lights were on, and the fire, and in the song there was wonder. Waves bloomed out from the fire in song, and spread out across the waste and void. Though they were long and winding paths, they were strong and safe, well suited to the pilgrim souls that would soon tread upon them. This was the final wonder to be made, not by Isabel's hands alone, but by the hands of all her forebears across all times and worlds and peoples. A final work. Home. The end of the world went like this. Everyone lived happily ever after. Okay, out of all SCP stories, that was the most happy one I've read. Completely. That was the happiest one I read. Let's see, where is it? Ah, alright. There won't be any more stories to read tonight because I have to go early in tomorrow for work, which sucks. However, I will show what I'll be reading Monday and Tuesday of next week. So we get rid of you go here, here, over here, copy link, paste and go. Alright. As you can tell, the Circus of the Disquieting has a Dread and Circuses hub, where they have a series of stories that go into order. There's like a whole shit ton of stories. So yeah, next Monday and Tuesday is gonna be lit. Sorry I couldn't do any more, but work's the bitch. So I guess now I look to raid. I honestly don't know if there's anyone still here, but that's fine if there isn't. Oh, Hedge is still on. Alright, let me type up the raid words. What do you think of good raid words? Alright, there's the raid words. I hope everyone enjoyed the stories I had to tell, because I'm going to try and do these from now on. More SCP streams, because I'm an SCP VTuber, I'm not even doing it when I should. I want to try and do these from now on. So I hope you enjoyed. Does anyone in chat have any last words to say before I end stream? Anybody else? Yeah, it was. Oh, yeah. And I will say this. Tomorrow, there will be a Crimas surprise during this collaboration. So tune in for that. Shit, Crimas surprise. Yay. Yeah. Any, anyways, Bookworm, do you have any last words? Just happy holidays, everyone. Yep, happy holidays, everyone. Anyways, then, my... Oh, goddamn it, I misspelled Hatch's name again. Anyways, Danger Noodles. I hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you guys next time for your next mission. The raid words I already posted earlier about SB999. And, is everyone ready for the raid? I won't go unless everyone's ready. Alright, then, be Dong McMurkpants and hail Satan.